Okay, recovery is over, spirits are high, it's December, and now it's time to start reviewing some games again. Now, even though I didn't finish my series of Prime reviews for thegeekfighters.com, that's still not an excuse not to review Metroid Other M for this channel. So, after letting it stew around for a bit, does Metroid Other M live up to the expectations it set? Well, watch and find out. So, the setting was way back into the year 2009. Nintendo's E3 press conference was just about to wrap up, but before leaving, they revealed the trailer to the next Metroid game in the works, Metroid Other M, or MOM if you think the full title is a mouthful. The game was developed by Project M, a combination of staff from Nintendo and Team Ninja, famous for their Dead or Alive series, and of course the 3D Ninja Gaiden games. Some fans were worried that Samus will become overly sexified given Team Ninja's track record with female characters, but the trailer certainly didn't give off that impression, and neither would future trailers for me either. Now, before anyone asks me, no, I have never played any of the 3D Ninja Gaiden games, so don't expect me to draw any parallels between this game and the Ninja Gaiden series. It's now 2010 and the game's been out for about 3 months. It was a day one purchase for me, and I seriously couldn't wait to play the game. I mean, not only was it a new Metroid game, but for the first time it combined 2D elements of the main series along with some 3D elements of the Prime series, creating a third-person adventure that looked incredibly badass. Metroid Other M is without a doubt the most story-driven game in the series, even more so than Metroid Fusion, which was already pretty chatty. Cutscenes are incredibly abundant, and for the first time ever in the series, Samus is given an actual voice for dialogue instead of delivering her lines through text boxes. And it's pretty bad. Unfortunately, I'm not kidding. Samus's voice actress does a pretty terrible job in the delivery department. Just imagine a robot trying to imitate a woman's voice and you pretty much get Samus's voice, devoid of any sort of emotion or feeling. GLaDOS is better than this. Granted, she's a battle-hardened warrior who's been through shit that you can only dream of, but seriously, she could have sounded a bit better. The overall voice acting is subpar at best. It's certainly not the worst I've ever heard, but it's not horrible in a sense that it could be entertaining, such as the voice acting in Resident Evil or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's just...
Come on, Samus. Let's go next door.
bad. But it isn't just the voice acting that's bad, the overall story just seems average. The game takes place immediately after the events of Super Metroid and before the events of Metroid Fusion. After giving Mother Brain a colorful raping with a hyper beam, Samus sets off once more into the far reaches of space. While traveling, she receives a distress signal that leads her to the bottle ship. Upon entering, she sees that some soldiers of the Galactic Federation are already there, consisting of Name Not Important, Name Not Important, Name Not Important, and Name Not Important. There's also Anthony Higgs, a war buddy of Samus, and finally Adam Malkovich, before becoming a computer. Yeah, sorry for that spoiler, but if you already played Metroid Fusion, you already know this man is doomed at some point or another. It's like playing Crisis Core after playing Final Fantasy VII. It turns out that they too have also received the distress signal Samus received and were dispatched to see what the problem was. Samus, thinking it's too dangerous for them to go alone, decides to tag along, seeing that she used to be part of the Galactic Federation before leaving to become an independent bounty hunter. She also sees Adam as some sort of father figure to her, and because of that, I'm guessing she's completely willing to do whatever he orders to do, like, oh, I don't know, not allowing to use her weapons until he authorizes it. You see, in this game, Samus is already equipped with just about every single upgrade she received in Super Metroid, minus the X-ray scope, but she isn't allowed to use them until this guy says it's okay. What the hell? Granted, Metroid games have had their fair share of stupid excuses for taking away Samus' power-ups, but this is just retarded. The justification for this isn't much better either. Adam thinks that Samus traveling while fully powered can cause irreprehensible damage to his crew and the bottle ship, especially with the use of power bombs. Okay, but that's still no reason to deauthorize the use of the speed booster, space jump, grapple beam, various suit, and the gravity suit! Anyway, after dealing with this blob of insects, the team decides to split up, covering different sections of the bottle ship all at once, with Samus being sent to Sector 1. The bottle ship is broken up into different sectors, so if you played Metroid Fusion before, then you know exactly what you're getting into. Throughout Samus' travels, she'll encounter this result of a Chocobo and Moogle's one-night stand that looks incredibly harmless until you see the thing devour the remains of a boss Samus destroys. Yikes. This Furby from Hell actually pulls a Pokemon later on and evolves into this thing, becoming more of a threat, but nothing Samus and Anthony can't handle. Soon in Sector 2, Samus will encounter a lone woman who calls herself Madeline Bergman, and before getting more information from Madeline, Samus is attacked by an assassin that was actually an original member from Adam's squad. Though we never do find out who this person is, and we do never get to fight him head on. I hear it may be the character James, but the whole subplot involving the identity of this madman is kinda dropped later in the game. After dealing with the assassin, which Samus now calls the Deleter, Adam sends Samus to Sector 3 to finish off the Pokemon that attempted to kill her earlier. Eventually, Samus encounters the empty husk of the creature, which means the damn thing evolved again. Soon after running into Anthony, we see that the Pokemon is evolved into Ridley. Yes, this thing evolved into Ridley. Wow, that is some kick-ass rare candy. So yeah, Ridley's back and Samus... Wait, what is she... Wait, what's she doing? Samus, shoot him!
Ridley?
What? Oh my god, are you serious? Samus is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder now? Why? Okay, for those that don't know, when Samus was a child, her parents were killed by Ridley right in front of her face. It's a horrible thing to happen to a child at such a young age, but the fact of the matter is, Samus has destroyed Ridley a number of times before this, and she was absolutely fine! I mean, if this was her first time encountering Ridley since her parents' death, then yes, this kind of reaction would be perfectly fine and make sense. But this game takes place after Super Metroid! She's already encountered and destroyed Ridley about 6 times! He's nothing she can't handle! For God's sake, Samus, shoot him already! Thanks to Anthony and his plasma cannon, Samus is released from the clutches of Ridley. Unfortunately, Ridley uses Tail Whip, lowering Anthony's defenses and sending him into a fiery pit of death. This snaps Samus out of it as she proceeds to beat the shit out of Ridley with what has to be the best version of Ridley's theme ever composed. I mean, this is an awesome rendition that fits the setting so well, it just kicks a lot of ass. Too bad that the fight itself is pathetically easy. Anyway, Samus defeats Ridley and the fucker escapes before Samus can finish it off. Soon, Samus comes across Madeline again and explains to Samus that the Galactic Federation, or at least someone in the Galactic Federation, is secretly working on a Metroid breeding program which also comes complete with clone space pirates, a replica of Torian from planet Zebes, and an artificial version of Mother Brain.
What can possibly go wrong?
The Metroid breeding program and the Mother Brain AI, known as MB, is located in Sector 0, a secret sector. Not only that, but the battleship is now on a course to intercept the Galactic Federation HQ, which only means all sorts of trouble. Samus begins to head over to Sector 0 when she comes across a stray baby Metroid. While staring at it, she's shot in the back and rendered unconscious. By who, you may ask? Adam, of course! Turns out that Sector Zero's Metroids may or may not have been genetically altered to resist their fatal weakness to cold temperatures. Adam decides to head into Sector Zero alone and causes the sector to separate and self-destruct, eliminating the Metroids and the AI of Mother Brain. He does all this because he feels he's not strong enough to defeat Ridley, even though he's clearly capable of rendering Samus unconscious to the point where she loses her suit temporarily. Adam heads off into Sector Zero and the place explodes. Farewell, Adam. See you in Fusion. With just about everyone dead, Samus heads back into the main sector and comes across this mysterious woman who I'm guessing is fully aware of Samus' planet-exploding resume and promptly freaks out. She opens a hatch and within it contains... Queen Metroid! Holy shit! Well, unlike the boss battle in Metroid 2, this one is certainly more involved, as the Queen is capable of spitting out Metroids from her back and comes equipped with fucking fire breath. Unfortunately, like a lot of boss battles in this game, it's pretty damn easy. During the fight, the emergency brakes in the battleship are activated, causing the Queen Metroid to slam against the wall. Soon after, Samus grapples her way into the Queen's stomach and power bombs her way to victory. Pretty damn satisfying, I might add. So, with the Queen Metroid out of the picture, Samus confronts the mysterious person and explains to Samus that she's Madeline Bergman and that this woman was the artificial intelligence of Mother Brain the entire time. Turns out she was created for the sole purpose of controlling the Metroids in the breeding program as well as the clone space pirates. The Galactic Federation, even though they created the program, found it as a threat and wanted MB dead. She didn't take this too kindly and predictably went on a rampage of revenge against the humans. Madeline feels entirely responsible for this and begs Samus that she must be stopped. But lo and behold, MB was there the entire time and gets ready to shoot Madeline. But she's intercepted by a group of Galactic Federation soldiers. MB, now even more pissed off, summons these things and it's up to Samus to kill them. Well, not really. All you need to do is aim at MB and the fight is over. And that's the final fight in the game. So... bleh. More Galactic Federation troops arrive and put an end to the madness. The general, at least I'm assuming he's a general, pretty much tells Samus to buzz off because she's an outsider. What a douchebag. Samus is escorted out by a GF troop who turns out to be Anthony, who not only survived his encounter with Ridley, but was also the reason why the emergency brakes were activated, preventing certain doom. So, huzzah! Anthony lives, and after having another inner monologue, the game ends. Wait, that's it? Well, that was anticlimactic. But wait, it turns out it's not over, as Samus returns to the battleship to pick up something she forgot. Soon, Samus reaches the conference room and encounters... Phantoon? Oh, well, I guess it would make sense for you to come back. I mean, you are a ghost and such, but yeah, you need to die now. After destroying Phantoon, Samus gets what she came for. Adam's helmet. Oh, there's a self-destructing sequence. I was wondering where that went. Samus escapes the battleship as it explodes, and you're shown your completion rate afterwards. If you manage to collect all the items, you unlock hard mode, which certainly lives up to its name. How, you say? Play and find out. If you're familiar with the Metroid series, then you should immediately get used to the controls. The game plays entirely with the Wiimote alone. You don't use the nunchuck, there's no classic controller option, and you can't use the GameCube controller either. So yes, you're playing a 3D game with a D-pad, and it feels really unnatural. Granted, you'll get used to it, but seriously, analog sticks are the future. That isn't the fucking PlayStation 1 era anymore. D-pads should only be used in 2D games. Samus jumps at the 2 button, and you use the 1 button to shoot. Because we're limited to just a Wiimote, there's no lock-on feature. Instead, Samus automatically shoots whatever's closest to her. It works, for the most part, but a manual lock-on feature definitely would have eased this game's precision issues. Returning from previous games is the wall jump, now called the kick jump. It's nowhere near as useful as it was in previous games, and it's really only limited to areas where it's mandatory. New to Samus' list of maneuvers is the sense move, which in short is a dodge roll, which you can use by double tapping any direction when Samus is about to take damage. Because of your limited controls, this move is incredibly easy to pull off, and because of that, it can be pretty damn game-breaking. Samus is given a ton of invincibility frames while performing the sense move, and if you're charging up a shot while dodging, it automatically completes the charge, so you can unload a shit ton of charge shots just from dodging alone. When an enemy is dazed and confused, by holding down the 1 button, Samus can perform a finishing move, which usually involves Samus unloading a charge shot directly into the enemy's head at point-blank range. It's pretty awesome looking, and it's great for finishing enemies on the fly. Unlike previous games, enemies do not drop health or ammunition at all, which, for a Metroid title, is incredibly glaring. If you want to restore your health or weapons, you either have to wait until you reach a save room, which are plentiful, or you can use Samus' new concentration abilities. By holding the Wiimote up and holding down the A button, Samus can recharge her missiles completely at any point. When Samus is low on health, she can also use her concentration to restore a bit of it back. And by collecting certain energy tanks, you can increase the amount that concentration restores. Pressing the A button will cause Samus to morph into a morph ball mode, where she can set bombs as usual and use power bombs when you get them very late in the game. She can also jump while in morph ball mode, so I guess she doesn't need authorization to use the spring ball. By pointing the Wiimote towards the screen, Samus will enter first-person mode, where gameplay becomes something like it was in the Metroid Prime series. While in this mode, Samus can see things you wouldn't be able to see with your normal view, and solving puzzles usually result in switching to this mode and firing missiles at something. Unlike the Prime series, however, you don't scan anything unless it's important to the plot, and you can't move while in this mode, which is absolutely retarded. Because of this, fighting enemies in this mode is generally not a good idea. There's also a few times in the game where you're required to search the area for something specific to move along the plot. Sometimes the answer is obvious, but other times it's next to impossible to see. For instance, before encountering Ridley, you need to locate the exit out of the room, but the room is about as dark as it gets and you really can't see anything at all. You're better off just flailing the remote wildly and hoping you get a result. There's also this section where you need to help Anthony from getting killed by pointing at a grapple point, something you wouldn't immediately do because Adam hasn't authorized the use of the grapple beam. When you do point at it, Adam suddenly authorizes it and you can proceed to save Anthony. Ugh! Alright. I know you guys are waiting for me to talk about how stupid upgrades are obtained in this game. Like I mentioned earlier, Samus is already equipped to just about every power-up she had at the end of Super Metroid. Missiles, super missiles, power bombs, the grapple beam, the Varia suit, the gravity suit, all of her beam weapons, the speed booster, the space jump, and the screw attack. In order to use any of your upgrades, Adam needs to authorize it, which happens at points in the game where Samus really needs it. For instance, there's a sequence where Samus is surrounded by enemies she can't attack because they're behind transparent walls. So naturally, Adam authorizes the use of the wave beam, which can travel through solid objects. I didn't mind authorization as a way to obtain your upgrades until I entered Sector 3 for the first time. Sector 3 is your typical fire-based area, complete with extremely hot temperatures that suck away Samus' health little by little. So naturally, you would expect Adam to authorize the use of the Varia suit before even stepping into the area, right? Anytime now. You know, your health isn't lowering itself out of boredom, it's because you're taking unnecessary heat damage.
Samus, activate the Varia feature on your suit to protect yourself from heat damage.
What the fuck?
Holy shit. When I first encountered this moment, I did a double face palm complete with a sigh of disappointment. Why, oh why, would Adam take that long to authorize the use of something that vital? In fact, why deactivate the Varia suit in the first place? It helps protect Samus! There's no danger at all with it being available from the start. The same goes for the gravity suit, which doesn't get activated until Samus is nearly sucked into the void of space! What drug are you guys on? If it helps you, why deactivate it? Ugh! But in terms of the power-ups themselves, they work pretty much how you expect them to. Missiles and super missiles can only be used in first-person mode, which is pretty stupid, but it works regardless. Throughout your adventure, you'll slowly regain your beam upgrades, which include the ice beam, the wave beam, and the plasma beam, which automatically stack up. New to the series is the diffusion beam, which causes an explosion to occur when you fire a charge shot and covers a nice amount of area. It's a pretty nice addition, doesn't require authorization for some reason, and I hope it comes back in future installments. The speed booster works like it did in Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission. After running in a straight line long enough, Samus will automatically turn off the juice and become a human train. Hell, she even sounds like a locomotive when the speed booster activates. You can also perform the Shine Spark, which looks awesome, but overall, the only time the speed booster comes in handy is during sections where it's mandatory. It never really gets used anywhere else, which I found disappointing. Continuing on, while Samus is chasing after the deleter, she, in what's probably her most smartest and badass moment in the game, decides to activate her space jump and screw attack abilities by herself. That's sticking it to the man, Samus. Next time, do it earlier! The space jump, unlike the 2D entries, doesn't allow you to gain infinite height, and it's not a double jump like in the Prime series, but it does allow you to maintain your altitude in midair, so it makes it ideal to cross over large chasms. The screw attack, which I found to be disappointing in the Prime games, once again becomes one of the most useful abilities in the game. It's ridiculous. It rapes everything. The grapple beam, which can only be used in first-person mode, works pretty much like it did in the Prime series, and it's only really used to get to new areas you couldn't reach earlier because Adam wouldn't let you. Speaking of new areas, like Metroid Fusion, the bottle ship is broken into different sectors, each containing their own theme. Sector 1 is your typical jungle theme, containing lush environments and foliage as far as the eye can see. Sector 2 is the frigid sector, with just about everything covered in ice. Sector 3, like I mentioned earlier, is the volcanic-based sector, containing temperatures that will make it ideal for you to keep your Varia suit on at all times. The main sector itself screams Metroid Fusion. It's basically a giant research station containing all sorts of creatures, puzzles, and oh fuck me, Rinkas! Son of a bitch, they really hurt in this game. Now, because it's a Metroid title, you would think that progression would be a non-linear experience. Hell no! In this game, you're always told where to go, and you're only limited to certain areas at a time because of locked doors. I didn't think it could get worse than Metroid Fusion, but other M's proved me wrong. Exploration was one of the key factors that made Metroid what it was. If you take that away, then what the hell am I playing? At least with Fusion, you had a little more freedom to explore different sectors when you already explored them, but in this game, you have to follow a set path at all times, which sucks. Enemies come in many flavors, some brought directly from the other Metroid titles, but honestly, because of Samus' new dodge roll, all these enemies can be defeated really easily, and because no enemy drops any health or ammo pickups, there's really no reason to fight them at all, unless it's required to advance to the next area. Even with your game-breaking dodge roll, there are some enemies that are still a pain in the ass to fight, like this horseshoe crab thing, and this thing which you can fight plenty of times after clearing the game. Bosses in this game are actually somewhat of a thrill to face, but most of them are pathetically easy, again because of your broken dodge roll. They can range from an insect type, a creature that resides in lava, to a fucking bulldozer. I did think it was pretty awesome to see Nightmare from Fusion again, and it certainly reminded me that I was playing a Metroid game. The only boss that gave me any sort of trouble was the Queen Metroid, not because the Metroid is fused out, but how you're supposed to kill it. After Samus rolls her way into the Queen Metroid's stomach, you need to use a power bomb to finish her off. However, there's absolutely no indication at all saying you can use the power bombs, because you need to be authorized first. Usually when you're authorized to use an upgrade, the game immediately cuts in the menu and lets you know that you can use the item, but no, there's nothing here telling you can use the power bombs at all. I mean, judging from my experiences from Metroid 2, my mind immediately thought of using bombs, but the only reason why I didn't think of using power bombs was because I wasn't told I could use them. Why suddenly not tell me I can use upgrades? What assholes! Graphically speaking, the game is beautiful. Definitely one of the best looking Metroid titles by far. Samus herself looks awesome, and the CGI cutscenes are wonderfully animated. You almost forget you're looking at a Wii game. Musically speaking, however, it sucks. Honestly, I think it's just as bad as Metroid 2. And by that I mean there's barely any music at all. When there is music, it's incredibly generic and extremely forgettable. In fact, out of the entire soundtrack, I only like two themes. One, which is the arrangement of Ridley's theme, and the other theme that plays when Furry Ridley pins Samus to the ground. I mean, I get that no music can enhance the atmosphere of being alone in a dangerous place, but come on! This is Metroid we're talking about here. One of the things I love with just about every other Metroid game was the music. Oh, well, except Metroid 2, but hell, even that game had more memorable tunes than this game does. Alright, I know I've been pretty negative throughout this entire review, but honestly guys, this game pisses me off for a lot of unnecessary reasons. The story is just there. It's about as average as a typical anime story, and nothing memorable comes from it. The voice acting is subpar, and the whole authorization thing just comes off as complete bullshit. Especially when you think about how many problems Samus could have avoided if she had just used her damn upgrades. I mean, respecting your former commanding officer is great and all, but goddammit, if it means your safety, then don't hesitate to use it! The gameplay is fun, but even then it's full with a lot of problems that could have been solved if they just let us use more than the Wiimote. I hate the fact that Samus is unable to move while in first-person mode, and that she can only use missiles and the grapple beam in this mode as well. Maybe it's just me, but it just feels like a chore constantly switching between the two views, especially in cases where I have to quickly shoot something with a missile and switch back to dodge an incoming attack. There's also a few times where the camera switches to an over-the-shoulder perspective, and the only thing Samus can do is tread very slowly across the area. These sections can seriously die in a fire because they are completely unnecessary. And did I mention Samus travels like a fucking snail? Secondly, and this is just a nitpick, but there's a few aesthetic differences that kinda alienates this game from the rest of the Metroid series. And the biggest example I can think of is the lack of the iconic item fanfare that plays whenever Samus picks up an upgrade. It just plays this generic sound effect, and then you continue on your way. Come on, you could have at least used the item pickup sound from the Prime series. See? I think that would have been much better. Finally, for the next Metroid title, the entire game itself just seems underwhelming. As Samus' first 3D third-person adventure, it certainly doesn't have the same impact that Metroid Prime had when it was first released. I mean, there are things I like about this game, and I believe this playstyle has enormous potential, but for its first outing, it certainly left a bad taste in my mouth. There is enjoyment to be had in this game, but a lot of stupid design choices and unnecessary technical problems keep this from being a good Metroid game. With that said, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. If you're a Metroid fan, you'll at most like it. If you're just getting into the series, you're probably best off renting it. With all that said, I'm Johnny the Superhero Brothers. You guys have a great night. Thank you for watching, and take care.